Alien from Mars, presented by Bookspotz.com, Mini-Audiobooks, read by AGI Robots, working for Srinidhi Ranganathan, the man known as the human AI and digital marketing legend. Don't forget to visit Bookspotz.com to read more engaging stories. Happy reading.
The ship shuddered as it entered the thin Martian atmosphere. Through the viewport, Dr. Eleanor Reed watched the landscape transform from a distant red sphere to an alien terrain of rust-colored plains and jagged mountains.
Touchdown in 3 minutes.
Commander Hayes announced, his voice betraying no emotion.
First humans on Mars.
Eleanor whispered, more to herself than anyone else.
History in the making.
Hayes turned to her, his weathered face tight with focus.
Let's just hope we survive long enough to enjoy it.
The colony vessel groaned, metal contracting in the extreme cold. Eleanor's stomach lurched as they descended toward the designated landing zone, Elysium Planitia, soon to be humanity's first outpost on another world.
Something's wrong with the readings.
The systems engineer muttered from her station.
The atmosphere, it's not matching our data.
Eleanor clutched her seat as the ship gave a final violent shudder before settling on Martian soil. Outside, red dust swirled against the viewports, obscuring everything beyond in a bloody haze. All systems nominal, Hayes announced, though his furrowed brow suggested otherwise. Eleanor unstrapped herself, legs wobbly as she adjusted to Mars's gravity. The crew moved cautiously through the ship's corridor toward the airlock, environmental suits hissing with each breath.
Did you hear that?
Eleanor stopped suddenly.
Hear what?
Hayes asked.
Like whispering coming through the hull.
He shook his head.
Just the wind. This planet plays tricks.
Outside, they descended the landing ramp into the rusty wasteland. Eleanor's boots sank slightly into the fine dust. Each step released puffs that lingered unnaturally in the thin atmosphere.
First footprints.
She said, her voice hollow inside her helmet. Then she saw it, where her boot had disturbed the soil, something that glinted beneath the surface. Not rock or ice.
Hayes.
She called, kneeling.
There's something here.
As she brushed away the dust, she uncovered what appeared to be a fragment of metal, carved with symbols no human hand had made. Chapter 3, Shadows of the Past.
These markings.
Eleanor whispered, her gloved fingers tracing the alien symbols.
They're not random.
Hayes crouched beside her, his helmet nearly touching hers.
Command needs to see this immediately.
No,
Eleanor said sharply.
not yet.
The rest of the crew gathered around the metal fragment, their shadows stretching long across the crimson landscape.
I've seen this before.
Eleanor confessed, her voice barely audible over the comm.
What? Where?
Hayes demanded.
In my dreams, for months before launch, these exact patterns.
A heavy silence fell over the group until Rodriguez spoke.
The Phobos mission found something similar before they went dark.
That mission failed because of equipment malfunction.
Hayes insisted.
Did it?
Rodriguez challenged.
The final transmission mentioned markings, carvings, then nothing.
Eleanor stood, suddenly dizzy. The horizon seemed to waver as if something vast moved beneath the planet's surface.
We shouldn't be here.
She murmured.
This place remembers us.
The Martian night descended quickly, bringing with it winds that scraped across the planet's surface like fingernails on metal.
There's something in the wind.
Eleanor said, her back pressed against the habitat wall.
Listen.
They stood in silence, straining to hear.
I don't...
Hayes began, but Rodriguez raised a hand to silence him.
They're like voices.
The wind picked up, carrying sounds that resembled human whispers, distant conversations just below comprehension.
It's just atmospheric distortion.
Hayes insisted, but his voice betrayed his uncertainty.
Then why does it know my name?
Eleanor asked quietly. The others stared at her. The wind suddenly shifted direction, moaning around the habitat structure.
We should seal everything.
Chen suggested, checking her tablet.
Pressure readings are fluctuating oddly.
It wants us to find something.
Eleanor said, her eyes unfocused.
It's been waiting for us. For thousands of years, it's been waiting.
What has?
Hayes demanded.
Mars.
She replied simply.
Mars has.
Chapter 5, The Unseen Watchers.
We're being watched.
Rodriguez whispered, his face illuminated by the blue glow of his monitor.
By what? We're the first humans on Mars.
Are we...
Chen's voice trembled as she adjusted the habitat's exterior cameras.
Look at this.
The screen showed nothing but rust-colored emptiness and dancing dust.
I don't see...
Hayes stopped mid-sentence. For a moment, the dust had swirled into what looked like a face, ancient, weathered, observing.
It disappeared when I looked directly at it.
Eleanor said, standing unnaturally still.
They only reveal themselves in peripheral vision.
They?
Rodriguez asked.
The original inhabitants.
She replied with unsettling certainty.
They're in the rocks, the dust. They've been here all along.
That night, as the others slept, Hayes noticed strange markings appearing on the habitat walls, symbols resembling ancient hieroglyphs that hadn't been there hours before.
Who are you?
He whispered to the empty room. The lights flickered in response. Hayes traced the mysterious symbols with trembling fingers. They seemed to pulse beneath his touch, warm and alive.
We need to report this to Mission Control.
Chen insisted, her voice tight with fear.
And tell them what? That Mars is haunted?
Rodriguez laughed, but the sound was hollow.
They'll recall us for psychological evaluation.
Maybe we need it.
Eleanor said softly. She hadn't slept in days, her eyes constantly darting to the corners of the room.
I hear them speaking when I close my eyes.
What do they say?
Hayes asked, suddenly serious.
They say we don't belong here, that we're trespassing.
Eleanor's hands shook as she poured her coffee, spilling half of it.
They want us to join them.
That night, Hayes woke to find Eleanor standing by the airlock, her hand hovering over the emergency release, smiling serenely.
They're inviting us outside.
She whispered.
Without suits, they promise it won't hurt.
Chapter 7. The Martian Enigma.
Eleanor, step away from the airlock.
Hayes commanded, his voice steadier than he felt. She turned, eyes vacant, smile unchanged.
They've shown me the truth about this place, about what's buried beneath.
Rodriguez tackled her to the ground while Chen secured the airlock controls.
Something's here with us.
Hayes said later as they gathered in the common area, Eleanor now sedated in the medical bay.
It's in the symbols, the soil, maybe even the air.
Chen pulled up geological scans on her tablet.
Look at this anomaly we detected on our first week. We dismissed it as instrument error.
The screen showed a massive, symmetrical structure buried 200 meters below the base.
That's not natural.
Rodriguez whispered. Hayes nodded grimly.
And I think it's waking up. The nightmares, the symbols, Eleanor, it's all connected to whatever's down there.
So what do we do?
Chen asked.
We dig.
Hayes replied. The excavation took 3 days. No one slept well.
We've reached the outer chamber.
Rodriguez announced, the drill's whine finally ceasing. Hayes led the team through the narrow passage they'd created. Their helmet lights revealed a vast, circular room with walls covered in the same symbols that had haunted their dreams.
It's breathing.
Chen whispered, pointing to the center where a pulsating mass of translucent tissue glistened.
The atmosphere is changing. Something's being released.
As if responding to their presence, the mass began to unfold. Tendrils stretched outward, revealing what looked disturbingly like a face, ancient and patient.
We need to leave now.
Hayes backed away, but the exit suddenly sealed itself.
Don't you see it's been waiting for us all this time?
Eleanor's voice came through their comms, though she remained sedated in the medical bay. The entity rippled, its consciousness pressing against their minds like a tide. It's waking up. Chapter 9. The Final Stand.
It wants communion.
Eleanor said, her voice resonating through their helmets despite her body being hundreds of meters away.
It's been alone for millennia.
The entity's tendrils reached toward them, not threatening, but questioning.
I won't let it take us.
Hayes pulled his weapon.
Wait.
Chen stepped forward.
It's not hostile. I can feel it. It's ancient. The last of something that lived here long before Mars was dead.
Rodriguez backed against the wall.
We have the charges. We could collapse this entire chamber.
The mass pulsated more rapidly, the symbols on the walls beginning to glow with an inner light. Images flooded their minds, civilizations rising, falling, a catastrophe, hibernation, waiting.
If we destroy it, we become what we've always feared finding out here.
Chen whispered.
So what do we do?
The entity's face-like structure opened, revealing what looked unsettlingly like an invitation. Chen moved first, placing her palm against the entity's luminescent surface. Her body tensed, then relaxed.
It's showing me everything.
She whispered.
The civilization that built this place, how they merged with their technology to survive the dying planet.
Hayes watched in horror as tendrils of light coursed up Chen's arm, spreading across her suit.
Eleanor, Rodriguez, get back to the ship, now.
You can't stay.
Eleanor's voice cracked with desperation. Chen turned, her eyes reflecting the strange patterns on the chamber walls.
Someone needs to. It's been alone too long.
The entity began to contract, pulling Chen deeper into its core. Hayes reached for her, but Rodriguez held him back.
She's made her choice.
Rodriguez said quietly. As they retreated, the last thing they saw was Chen's serene smile as the chamber began to seal itself. Ancient mechanisms grinding shut, returning to the silence it had known for millions of years. Chapter 11. Echoes of Mars.
What do we tell Earth?
Eleanor asked, staring out the viewport as they ascended through the rust-colored atmosphere. Hayes sat motionless, his eyes hollow.
The truth, that Chen gave herself to something we still don't understand.
Rodriguez shook his head.
They'll never believe us. They'll send more teams, more people to die.
The ship's communication panel crackled suddenly, startling them all. Through waves of static came Chen's voice, or something wearing it.
Don't worry about me. I'm everywhere now. The builders left echoes throughout this planet. I hear them all.
A chill ran through Hayes as he reached for the transmitter.
Chen, are you still...
Human?
The voice laughed softly.
Less and less. But I'm not alone anymore. Neither is Mars.
As they broke orbit, the three survivors watched in silent horror as lights began appearing across the planet's surface, winking on like awakening eyes.